بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في العالمين الحجة ابن الحسن روحي وأرواح من سواه له الفداء. After 14 centuries, when we look at Karbala and what happened there, we see two groups. One group was under the authority of Imam al-Ma'soom, infallible Imam, Al-Imam al-Hussein, grandson of Rasulullah. And other side was under the authority of Bani Umayyah, and those people that was known as enemies of Rasulullah after Islam, until the time that Rasulullah struggled with them in Mecca, and they forced to become Muslim. After that, during time of Rasulullah, it was just 2 years, last 2 years of life of Rasulullah, Bani Umayyah became Muslim. Just 2 or 3 years. After that, they were enemies of Ahlul Bayt to the end of time of Bani Umayyah. During time of Khalifa, first Khalifa, second Khalifa, third Khalifa, time of خلافة of أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلى الله عليه معاوية. Muawiyah was enemy of Amir al-Mu'mineen. After him, his son Yazid, and after Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was enemy of Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein. All of Bani Umayyah. Just we know 1 or 2 persons from them that they became lover of Ahlul Bayt and companions of some Imam alayhi salam. Maybe 2 persons of Bani Umayyah. This part and that part, they were in front of each other. They didn't believe in each other before Islam, after Hijrah, after Rasulullah, till now. Nowadays, we see that there are 2 groups. We can see obviously in Syria and some other countries in Middle East. Yes. And we can see that the part of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu was-salam, even Imam al-Hussein had been killed in Karbala. This side, this part, this group was alive during the history of Islam till now. nowadays. This group is alive, and millions of people, they believe in Imam Hussein, and what Imam Hussein did, and they love Imam Hussein, they follow Imam Hussein. They follow now Imam Hussein alayhi salam. You can go to Iraq for Arba'in al-Husseini. After the criminal government of Ba'ath in Iraq, millions of people, maybe more than 20 million people, they gathered in Karbala to pilgrimage tomb of Imam, grave of Imam al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi. Why? Because Imam al-Hussein and the way that Imam al-Hussein passed and the method of Imam al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi is alive in their hearts. Nobody paid any money to save this way, this manner, this culture, this nobody paid any money. They love Imam Hussein not because of money. Because fault of Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi is alive. In other hand, we can see after Yazid, lots of Muslims, most of them, they cursed Yazid because he killed Imam Hussein. After Yazid, nobody loved Yazid. Yes, during the history, some people made some groups like as Yazidiyya, like as Shaitanists. We say a Shaitaniyya. Some little groups, yes. But after Yazid, I mentioned, Yazid killed Imam Hussein first year. Second year, killed lots of, thousands of companions of Rasulullah. And he commanded to do something that happened in Medina. I don't want to mention them. After 1 year, lots of children was born in Medina without father. You know, because it was halal for soldiers of Yazid in Medina. And after that third year, he burned Kaaba. Where is Yazid now? In the hearts of Muslim people. Even non-Muslims, they believe, lots of non-Muslims in India, in East, West, in lots of countries, Zoroastrianists, you know, Zarathushtri, Christians, Jewish even, they love Imam Hussein. Lots of people that they converted to Shia, from Sunni to Shia, from Christianity to Islam to Shia, it was because of Imam al-Hussein sallallahu alayhi. Do you know anybody converted to Islam because of Yazid? Do you know? Yes, we know some, I mentioned that some little groups, they believe in Yazid like as Yazidiyya. They believe that Yazid was a pious person. Yes, it is false. According to history of Islam, according to history of books of Ahl Sunnah, Yazid used to drink alcohol. But nobody said that Imam Hussein not used to do bad action. Even for one time, he did, for example, non-prepared, for example, action. It was not good for a man. You cannot find, even in history of Ahlul Bayt, in the history of Ahlul Sunnah, in books of Ahlul Sunnah, you cannot find that Imam Hussein did bad action during his life. Imam Hussein Salamullahi alayhi asked his enemies, do you know anything about me that, for example, I changed halal to haram, haram to halal? All of them said, no. We didn't hear anything about this, about you, that you committed any sin. No. Why Imam Hussein is alive now? And on the other hand, some governments should pay lots of billions of dollars to make groups to follow Yazid. You know, this is difference between part of Imam Hussein and other part. Other part, you should pay lots of billions of dollars, you know, to make some little groups and call them Shabab Bani Umayyah. This is the feature of group of Yazid. But Imam Hussein by himself is alive in this side, group of Ahlul Bayt. Hezbollah, Hezbul Nur, group of light, group of Allah, people of Allah, by himself. We don't need to force somebody to believe in Imam Hussein. You don't need to force somebody to see the light, because light itself shows itself, by itself shows itself, you know? Okay. Why Imam Hussein is alive? The reason is that Imam Hussein Salamullahi alayhi attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a rule, you know, this is a rule, this is a, you know, principle that if you stay with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will become eternal. Because just one thing is eternal in this world. This is a role. That just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is eternal. If you get away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be destroyed. And you will be nothing. Even material things, if attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be eternal, will become eternal. Why? For example, at first I give you an example. Like as our body, this is common that after a while, the body that we put in the grave will become ash. because it is material and it become dust, it become ash. Maybe after 30 years, you will not find any body in the grave. For most of people, this is common. But if you attach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and did something as recommended actions, like as ghusl al-jum'ah, for example, for 40 Fridays. It will revive your body in the grave to the resurrection. To the resurrection. And in the resurrection, our body will be like as this body in this material world. Even our body will revive because we attach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a material example. According to Imam Hussein sallallahu alayhi, we have some narrations of Ahlul Bayt that after appearance of Imam al-Hujjah, Sahib al-Asr wa al-Zaman, عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Imam Hussein sallallahu alayhi will come back to this world and will roll us as the governor of Islam and governor of humankind on the earth. And Imam Hussein and his way and his thought will be alive to the resurrection. Imam Hussein is important for Allah than my body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will revive and will save my body because of ghusl al-jum'ah. Especially, He will save Imam Hussein and his thought and his way to the resurrection. Because Imam Hussein is more important than my body. Okay. If you attach anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even your inner thought, your intention, your thought, your image, everything, your actions, your desires, if you attach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will cause those things to be alive, to be saved, and to be saved exactly to the resurrection. The result of this important point that I mentioned is that we will find our actions in the resurrection. We just will find those actions that we attach them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I, for example, about myself, if I did something because of myself, I won't find them in the resurrection. Even good actions, just because of myself, just because I love it, I desire it, not because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tabaraka wa ta'ala, because of myself. For example, I go to Karbala to pilgrimage, the grave of shrine of Imam Hussein sallallahu alayhi because I'm upset. Not because of Imam Hussein, because I love Imam Hussein for the sake of Allah, just because of myself. Lots of people go to pilgrimage Kaaba, Hajj, not because for the sake of Allah. Because Kaaba is beautiful, Mecca is a good city, Medina, Jeddah, you know. How can we find this Hajj in the resurrection in our book as a good action? It wasn't for the sake of Allah. None of angels wrote this action in my book. Finish. And I cannot find it. If I attached my intention, my action, my thought to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even I put a little stone from the way to the side of the way, for example. Because maybe some old man, woman, they are going across this way, for example, way, alley, or maybe it bothers them as an obstacle, you know? It is enough just for the sake of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is enough to find it in the resurrection. In a narration of, I think, Imam Sadiq sallallahu alayhi, a woman that was not a pious woman. He saw a dog that was at the point of death, at the point of death, because of thirsty. Just because, for the sake of Allah, she gave it some water. And it was difficult for she, you know, for her. But she tried to give the dog some water and revived this dog, just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam al-Ma'soom sallallahu alayhi said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave this bad woman because of just one action and took her to the paradise. Imam al-Hussein sallallahu alayhi attached all of his actions before his journey, from the beginning of his journey to the end of Ashura, attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can find even this sentence. Imam al-Hussein said, Ilahi radha bi-ridha. I just do what you want, you like, just for the sake of you, not for the sake of me. I don't want to be alive in hearts of Muslims, Shiites, or other people. No, I don't want them. Even in one narration we have that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an-Nasr. You know what is Nasr? Maybe it is an angel, maybe it is Jibreel, maybe is an ability, maybe it is a power, I don't know. Nasr came to the earth from the heaven by command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. came to the earth. حتى رفرف على رأس الحسين, until Nasr reached the head of Imam al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, told Imam al-Hussein, oh ya Hussein, do you want Nasr, victory? Or do you want what Allah wants and what will happen to you? Ash-shahada, murder them. Imam al-Hussein said, I chose murder them because Nasr is for myself and murder them is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was enough for Imam al-Hussein to go to the Maqtal and leave all of his families, sons, daughters, sisters, wives in Medina. By himself go. He could go toward Karbala, toward Kufa. But it was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To save Islam, he should bring his wives. He should bring his sisters. He should bring his brothers, sons, even little girls. Because it was just for the sake of Allah. If Imam al-Hussein left all of his families in Medina, it was for the sake of Imam al-Hussein, to save them. I want to save Islam. I should sacrifice them. I should sacrifice them. So Imam al-Hussein even brought little son, just 6 months old. Islam need blood of Ali al-Asghar for the sake of Allah. It is easy for Imam al-Hussein to see that his little son is agonizing, heaving. You know, little son without any milk, water. You are father, some of you are father. You know that your baby, after some minutes, if a baby, a little child, a little boy, girl, after some minutes, cannot stay, cannot be patient. Some hours, maybe about half of a day, Ali al-Asghar was thirsty. Even he couldn't cry. Imam al-Hussein brought Ali al-Asghar. Oh my enemies, this is my soul? Yes, it is mine. But this is my little son. You are my enemy. Take this boy. Take this boy and give him a little water. If you water. Yes, it was because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when Imam al-Hussein felt that Ali al-Asghar is agonizing and heaving in his blood, he said, oh Allah,